Moving forward, we come to another type of asexual reproduction, this time in flowering plants, known as vegetative propagation. Many flowering plants can reproduce asexually through this method. It usually begins from lateral buds on stems, which may be located above or below the soil. The new plant grows its own roots, stems, and leaves while still attached to the parent plant, relying on it for nutrients during this early stage. Eventually, the connecting structure withers and dies, allowing the new plant to become independent. The first example of vegetative propagation in flowering plants is through runners, also known as stolons. Runners are long, horizontal stems that grow along the surface of the soil. Along these runners, there are special points called nodes, where buds develop. Each bud can grow roots that anchor into the soil and shoots that form leaves, producing a new daughter plant. While the daughter plants are developing, they remain connected to the parent plant and receive nutrients from it. Over time, the runner itself withers and dies, leaving the new plants independent. This method enables plants to spread quickly and colonize nearby areas. An example of this is the strawberry plant. As you can see here, the diagram shows the process of asexual reproduction through horizontal stems called runners or stolons. The parent plant produces a long horizontal stem that grows along the surface of the soil. At different points along this stem, small plantlets begin to develop. These plantlets are genetically identical to the parent plant because they are produced from a single parent without the fusion of gametes. When the plantlets grow their own roots and establish contact with the soil, they can develop into independent plants. As shown here in the diagram, a strawberry plant demonstrates asexual reproduction through the formation of runners. The plant produces horizontal stems called runners that grow along the surface of the soil. These runners extend from the parent plant and develop roots and leaves, giving rise to new clone plants called daughter plants. The main structure of the plant includes a short stem, or crown, which stores food, along with flowers, fruit, and lateral buds that develop into the runners. Once the daughter plant is fully established, the runner can be separated from the parent, allowing the new plant to become independent. The next example of vegetative propagation in flowering plants is through rhizomes. Rhizomes are horizontal stems that grow underground rather than above the soil surface. These underground stems have buds, and each bud can grow upward to form new shoots above the ground. Even a small piece of a rhizome containing a bud can develop into a complete new plant. This method allows plants to spread effectively and reproduce without relying on seeds. In plants like bracken, the entire stem system exists as an underground rhizome, while leafy fronds grow upward to the surface. Examples of plants that reproduce through rhizomes include couch grass and bracken fern. As you can see here, the diagram shows the structure of a grass plant, highlighting both its vegetative and reproductive parts. The rhizome is a horizontal underground stem that allows the plant to spread and produce new shoots. The flowering stalk is the part that grows above the ground and supports the plant's reproductive structures. The growing point is the region where new cells are produced, allowing the plant to grow and form new leaves. The scale leaves are small modified leaves along the rhizome that protect the developing growing points. The next example of vegetative propagation in flowering plants is through bulbs. A bulb is a modified underground stem that is very short and compact. It is surrounded by thick, fleshy leaf bases that store a large amount of food. This stored food allows the plant to survive unfavorable conditions and supports rapid growth when conditions improve, especially in spring. Inside the bulb, a lateral bud develops into a new shoot, which eventually grows into a complete new plant. This process ensures that the plant can reproduce asexually and maintain its population. Examples of plants that propagate through bulbs include daffodil and lily. As the diagram shows, the lateral buds of a lily bulb are the main structures involved in asexual reproduction. The lily bulb, which is a modified underground stem, stores food in its fleshy scale leaves, providing nutrients for the growth of new buds. These lateral buds develop into new genetically identical plants. The stored food in the bulb supports the growth and development of the new plants, allowing them to survive and grow even after periods of dormancy. Moreover, onion is also an example of vegetative propagation by bulbs. The onion bulb, a modified underground stem, stores food in its swollen leaf bases, providing nutrients for bud growth. Lateral buds in the bulb develop into new genetically identical plants, while the terminal bud can grow into a new shoot and stem. These stored food reserves support the growth and development of new plants and help them survive during dormant periods. Another example of vegetative propagation in flowering plants is through tubers, also called stem tubers. Tubers are thickened, swollen underground stems that store food, primarily starch, for the plant. They are modified stems rather than roots. On the surface of a tuber, there are small buds called eyes, and each eye has the potential to grow into a new shoot. When conditions are favorable, these buds use the nutrients stored in the tuber to develop into a new plant. A common example of this type of asexual reproduction is the potato, where old tubers often begin to sprout, a process known as chitting. This diagram shows how a new potato plant develops through vegetative propagation. The old tuber shriveling gradually provides energy for growth. Lateral buds on the tuber sprout to form new stems and roots, giving rise to a new tuber forming underground. The rhizome, a horizontal underground stem, connects the parent plant to the developing tubers. As the tuber forming develops, the lateral buds continue to grow, eventually producing independent plants with their own stems, roots, and storage tubers. Another method of vegetative propagation in flowering plants is through corms. Corms are swollen underground stems that store food, helping the plant survive during unfavorable conditions. Unlike bulbs, corms are solid inside and function primarily as storage organs. Lateral buds on the corm can develop into new shoots, giving rise to independent plants. This process allows the plant to reproduce asexually and spread efficiently. Corms are commonly cultivated as root vegetables. Examples include crocus and colocasia esculenta. As you can see here, a corm is a solid, fleshy underground stem used for storing food. Unlike bulbs, it is not made of layered leaves. The big parent corm produces small cormels from buds on its top or sides, which grow into new, genetically identical plants. After the cormels develop, the parent corm typically withers and dies. As you see here, these underground plant storage organs are easy to identify due to the distinct structures. Bulbs consist of fleshy scale leaves surrounding a central bud on a basal plate, with roots growing from the base. Corms are short, solid stems covered by a fibrous tunic, with roots and shoots emerging from the basal plate, and they lack the layered scales seen in bulbs. Rhizomes are horizontal stems that grow just below or along the soil surface, storing nutrients and producing roots and shoots from nodes for vegetative propagation. Tubers are swollen underground stems or roots with eyes, or buds that can develop into new shoots and roots. Though all four serve as storage organs, they differ in structure, growth patterns, and methods of propagation. Next, we have another method of asexual reproduction in flowering plants through vegetative propagation, known as leaf plantlets. In some plants, small plantlets develop along the edges or margins of the leaves. These plantlets already contain tiny roots and shoots while still attached to the parent plant. When they become mature, they detach from the leaf and fall onto the soil. If the environmental conditions are favorable, the plantlets quickly develop roots in the soil and begin to grow as independent plants. This method allows the plant to reproduce asexually without producing seeds. A common example of this type of reproduction is bryophyllum, where buds form along the margins of the leaves and grow into new plantlets. In the diagram, the structures involved in the asexual reproduction of the bryophyllum plant are the leaf and the adventitious buds along its edges. This natural process is a type of vegetative propagation. The parent leaf provides the base for new growth, while the small buds along the leaf margins contain meristem tissue that enables continuous cell division. Once these buds mature and detach from the leaf, they can develop into new, independent plants.